Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
It's you.
No, it's not. McTwist brought us the wrong Alice.
It's the wrong Alice. You're absolutely Alice. I'd know you anywhere. I'd know him anywhere.
Hello and welcome to this week's slightly delayed Monday Movie Show. If you're listening to us live, then welcome and join us in the bottom right hand corner of your live chat. If you're listening to us on catch up anywhere, this is the show for 30th of March 2015. And we're already a quarter of the way through the year. It's insane.
Yeah, hence why we've hit British summertime. Well, if you look outside of your window, if you're in the UK, then yeah.
British summertime where it's currently windy where you are and raining where I am.
Yeah, it's bucking it down with rain here as well. So this is our summer. It's a British summer. We're lucky to get about 7 days out of the entirety of summer where it's warm.
Yeah. But that's good because that means that all you've got to do is be inside, or you can go out to the cinema and do things like that and be in, and you can enjoy things like these new movies that we're covering.
Yeah, before we go into that, there is something, isn't it? You've gone and done something which needs to be congratulated in, haven't you?
Yes.
You've took the next step in some kind of thing. Why am I dodging around the bullet on this? In other words, you've gotten engaged. So
yes,
huge, massive congratulations. And if you want to congratulate Andrew, he's EHDVD on Twitter. You can get him on Facebook as well. So send him a deluge of congratulations.
We've had it within it being posted, within an hour of it being posted. We put it on there on the weekend when we confirmed it and everything, and it was liked by over 100 people.
And that's the most likes you will ever get on a post on Facebook ever.
Oh, thanks very much.
You're welcome. More than quadruple the amount of likes I'll ever get on a Facebook post. So, films.
But anyway, on with the show. Yeah, what films have we got this week?
We have the live-action Disney retelling of the story of Cinderella. Comedy with, now I'm guessing comedy in big massive inverted commas, with Get Hard. Spongebob Squarepants returns to the big screen, even though I actually put it in the post. This is his big screen debut. It's not, because he had a movie out in 2004 with SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water. Water. We have fantasy action adventure based on a book with Seventh Son. British version of Transformers. Yeah, with Robot Overlords, and sci-fi with The Signal.
Yep. Plus, as usual, we're going to start off with a bit of news in a moment. The UK box office top 10, then goes through those films, and then we'll be back with the DVD top 10 and these movies on DVD.
We have comedy sequel with Horrible Bosses, 2 science fiction epic in Interstellar, comedy drama with St. Vincent, animated adventure with the Penguins of Madagascar, Get On Up, which is a musical biopic, and finishing off with horror movie based on a TV series that lasted all of 6 episodes with Fee Clinic.
But before all that, we need to go through the obligatory shout-outs. So we've got our things like mondaymovieshow.co.uk, facebook.com/mondaymovieshow, and at Monday Movie Show on Twitter, which is where you can find us, contact us, let us know how we're going, how you're doing. You can also find us, Stuart, on Twitter at Cryptic Tadpole. I'm on there at AHDVD as well. And you can always email us, which is mondaymovieshow@yahoo. Are you alright there?
Yeah, I just knocked my remote control.
Yeah. mondaymovieshow@yahoo.co.uk. So, let's go into this week's... Got quite a lot to get through. Let's go into this week's movie news, which I'll start off with a couple of pieces I've got. First piece up, I've got about an interview that Simon Pegg did recently with Absolute Radio. Confirmed something that's been speculated for the last couple of weeks, that Idris Elba is likely to be appearing in the movie. One thing, though, that he did confirm in particular is that if he does appear, it's not going to be as a Klingon, which is one thing that everyone has been speculating about. In the interview, he said he was asked, what about the rumours that Idris Elba is going to be a Klingon? He confirmed that's not true. The question was then asked, not at all. And he went, no. And then in it at all, is he in the film? And he said, Peg then replied, Idris, I heard there's a rumour we've been spoken to about stuff, so he may be in the film, but he won't be a Klingon.
Did you mention what film it was there? Because I can't remember you saying Star Trek 3.
Did I actually mention? I probably forgot to do that, yeah. Star Trek 3, yes. Simon Pegg,
Yeah,
who, as many people will know, or if they didn't realise now, is returning to play the character of Scotty.
and writing Star Trek 3, which is an interesting choice to actually go with, but he knows the canon anyway, and he's a very intelligent writer when it comes to sci-fi.
Yeah.
He's also said
comes
that
up with something original and doesn't do the whole Star Trek thing that they did last time, because I was really disappointed with that.
Well, he's also turned around and says he wants to take it back to the feeling of the TV show, but which one? Because each one of the Star Trek TV shows was different to the latter. So which feeling? Do you want to go back all the way to the original? And if that case, we're going to campy sci-fi? Or do you want to go to Enterprise or Voyager or Deep Space Nine or whatever? Which one, Simon Pegg?
Which one for you is the best one? Personally, for me, it's Deep Space Nine.
Voyager.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, Voyager. I know it's the weakest one to a lot of people, but I latched onto Voyager. It was the one I watched religiously, and then for me, The Next Generation.
Okay. Going into my other piece of news is that Akiva Goldsman, the writer who penned such films as Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, has been hired by Paramount to take over the writing of future movies and spin-offs in the Transformers series. He'll be working under the tutelage of Steven Spielberg and Michael Bay, who's expected to be backing to return for directing the next film. Yeah, exactly.
I know. I was reading in a few places. There's a lot of movies now which they want to expand into universes, and Transformers is definitely not one of them. It's a headache to have a Transformers movie every couple of years. Never mind to have spin-offs from them.
The only thing I can think of that might be good of this is they're doing spin-offs. They were doing that many that Michael Bay can't possibly direct them all.
Oh, he'll find a way. Honestly, he will find it. It's Michael Bay. If the word money is involved, he will be there. He's like a whippet. He's like a magpie to shiny things when it comes to money.
I mean,
I don't hear you disagreeing there.
No, I don't disagree, but I mean, it'd be nice to see him go and do something different. As much as because I had this conversation with someone the other day, and I don't mind the last Transformers film. I really love the first one. It's the second and third ones that are terrible.
The last one's bad as well. Yeah, it is really bad. It's still bad. It's still really bad.
But it had the dinosaurs, the Dinobots.
So what? They were in the trailer. Just watch the trailer. You got them there. Who cares? You had to sit through 2 hours of the movie before you got to them. So that's 2 hours of your soul again being completely taken away by Michael Bay. I actually I had to self-censor myself there because I nearly swore. Good. It shows you how long we've been doing the show, being able to self-censor ourselves that well. But yeah, before I get on to my news, something that I've just seen on the brilliant website that is News Now. News Now is the source that I'm going to keep looking at during the show because our luck is that breaking news will happen. But I've just seen it because I thought it was interesting that Helen Mirren wants to be in a Fast and Furious movie.
Really?
Yeah, she wants to be in a Fast and Furious movie.
Well, actually, because they've done the whole thing of setting up the character for the next movie, because they are planning to do another one after the one that comes out next week. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's easily a way to do it. Why not?
Yeah, we'll see. That's thanks to Vanity Fair.
I mean, could she be the mother of someone? Who could there be? Any of the characters?
Well, she's been in Red, so it'll just be sort of like a move from there, and so she could play a mother or something like that. Maybe you'll find out she might be the mother of Michelle Rodriguez's character, or the one where Dominic Toretto is actually going out with, the mother of her, or to tie it in somewhere for one of the characters. So I can see that. And the
I could see her in it though. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
The other quick news snippet, thanks to Hollywood Reporter, they've got an exclusive saying that Disney are developing a live-action version of Mulan.
See, the thing is, I can't actually really remember Mulan. I've not seen it for that long ago, and I know that it was a good animation, but I actually should need to rewatch it. So, but,
yeah,
a live-action version of that one, because, well, we're covering one of their live-action adaptations this week already, and there's been other ones, and
there are more to come.
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast has cast another person in their live-action version of that. Dumbo is another one that's getting the live-action treatment. Tim Burton's doing that film.
We kind of had Sleeping Beauty with the whole thing with Maleficent being done, sort of the other sort of side of the story.
Now I'm guessing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's been done multiple times before, but probably get a new version of that, and they'll find even a way of doing a live-action version of Fantasia.
And we're doing well. They kind of did that intention a little bit in Sorcerer's Apprentice, the Nicolas Cage one.
Yeah,
a little bit was kind of a homage to that. So they've already started trying to do things like that.
Yeah. So anytime during this week's show, I will try not to interject at dodgy moments. Probably after reviews. If there's any breaking news, we'll bring it to you. That's if you're listening to live. If you listen to the podcast, you probably already know the news anyway. But my other news is, according to ComingSoon.net, the sequel to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been given a full title. And to be honest, it's ridiculous. The film will be called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Half Shell.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. They need to come up with something else for that.
I'm really surprised they didn't put Heroes in front of it just to be done with it. Just put the ultimate nail in the coffin. But Half Shell. Yeah, and the other pieces of news that I've got, they're only small anyway, but it's been confirmed.
Genuine yawn, sorry.
It's been confirmed that the next James Bond film, Spectre, will be released in IMAX when it gets released on November the 6th.
Just think, did they release the last one in IMAX? They did, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did. They're busy shooting. They're busy still shooting in the opening sequence to the film right at this moment in time, and they've said that the opening sequence is the biggest they've ever done, which they shot it during Mardi Gras, and so that they had to close off streets as well to shoot that, and there's still more of the film to shoot, so it's not finished yet. Neither is Mission Impossible, and that's out on July 31st.
I was thinking the other day about who I would love to see playing a Bond villain, and I know who I'd absolutely love to see. I'd love to see them cast Patrick Stewart as a Bond villain.
Yeah,
I think he'd play it up brilliantly, especially the whole Shakespearean performance and such.
What did you think of the teaser trailer? The teaser bit?
I thought it was pretty good. I liked that. I mean, you can see it's Christoph Waltz in it, and I like the look of it. I like as well that they're going back to the whole thing of the Mr. White and that they haven't just decided to ditch the whole things that were set up, because I mean, as much as Quantum of Solace was completely boring and terrible and just was completely unnecessary, it was a thing they'd set up elements in that, and in particular in Casino Royale, and then it went nowhere with Skyfall. So I'm happy to see them going back on that track, and we're getting to see where that all was going.
I did not like Skyfall at all. I thought it was a boring film. So to me, when I go in to see this, because I will go to see the film, and it'll be interesting to see how close it gets to Skyfall's record, because it holds the record for the only film in the UK box office to ever crack the £100 million mark. So I've got my expectations for Spectre really, really low. So if it meets that, then well done to it. Because that's my expectations anyway with any Bond film.
But you're not a Bond fan anyway, so yeah.
No, I find them tedious and boring. And the final piece of news snippet that I've got is Sam Taylor-Johnson has quit the sequel to 50 Shades of Grey, along with screenwriter Kelly Marcel. The sequel is set to be released next year.
They don't seem to be able to find anyone to fill the role, do they?
No, the actors, the actors said they are going to return. Whether that's true, I don't know if that's true. But Sam Taylor-Johnson was constantly saying that she was thinking about quitting it because of E.L. James. E.L. James just needs to step away from the project. just because it's based on the stuff that she's wrote. By the sounds of it, she's going to throw everybody off the film, and there's going to be nobody to direct it, and so she'll end up having to do it.
It will be even worse than the first one, because I mean, as much as I did like things about the first one of the things I didn't like about it was the clunky, horrible dialogue, which was just terrible. And from what you hear, what's been said about it, that a lot of the dialogue was rewritten by her after sort of overruling the director and everyone and doing that, and that's where it's all sort of come from. So if that's where it's going to be going, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah. Oof. That's it for my news.
So let's go straight into the UK box office top 10 then.
So at number 10 is a new entry for Wild Card.
Yeah, this is the Jason Statham one, which is okay but not brilliant. It has its moments. It doesn't have enough action as far as I'm concerned for a Jason Statham film. It has moments in it where she's kind of going, what? And then there's things in it where it kind of doesn't. It kind of has too much, but it's only an hour and a half long, so you can't really take anything out of it.
Not doing very well, as I stated on the post on the website. Went in number 10 with a very low average of £664 per screen, and it was shown on 229 sites. So
yeah,
that
doesn't seem to have done it. It's been a film it's got to release just weeks ahead of another big Jason Statham film, which has got everyone in it. So I'm not surprised, to be honest.
It's got a release because of Jason Statham's name, isn't it? That's the only reason why it's getting a cinema release. Number 9 is 50 Shades of Grey, which I think we've said absolutely everything we can about the film.
Yep.
At number 8 is Still Alice.
I still haven't seen this yet.
You should. I think you'll actually really appreciate the film. It's Julianne Moore acting at her best. I know we're reviewing a film that she's up and coming, and it supposedly it was rumoured that it might suffer the Norbert effect. Now, if you know what the Norbert effect is, it refers to Eddie Murphy. And one year he was actually nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars for Dreamgirls, and he was nominated for the Worst Actor of the Year for Norbert. And so it might have tarnished his chances of being able to get the Oscar for Dreamgirls. But this was the case with Julianne Moore with Still Alice and a film that's coming up that review in Seventh Son. But it didn't affect her chances because she managed to win it. Kristen Stewart is also fantastic in the film. But I'm guessing you want to see how good she is. You might be interested.
I do, yeah. It does look very good.
At number 7 is Sweet Francais,
which we haven't seen. I was going to try and see it, but I've just honestly not had the time because of things I've been dealing with. And the thing is with it, what we've heard is it's very mixed reactions to it. You either really like it or you really hate it. So it seems to be one of these films that it splits the audience right down the middle.
I think, to be honest, we're getting a bit too many of these romantic dramas set during the World War I and II. Because there's been this one, there's been Testament of Youth, there's a couple of more up-and-coming films out in the next month and a half, which is also centred in that area there, in World War II and romantic dramas. And it's sort of like saturation, which we don't need to see because it seems to be following the same kind of plot.
It may be sort of genre fatigue.
Yeah, pretty much. And number 6 is Run All Night.
Which is, talking of genre fatigue, I mean, Liam Neeson's going to be getting tired, except for the fact of earning the paycheck for the last 6 films he's done. It's not anything new for him at all. It's not anything new for us to watch. It's better than Walk Among the Tombstones, which I actually did enjoy. But I agree. This was better than that. But it's not much better.
Yeah, I hated Walk Among the Tombstones. He's in a film coming up called A Monster's Call. He's also completed his stuff on Ted 2. That's his next film, Ted 2. But if I remember correctly, A Monster's Call might be something different for him, because it is about a boy who needs the help of a tree monster to try and overcome his mother's illness. And it's directed by Juan Antonio Bayona, which I adore as a director. I think he's absolutely amazing director. And this film has piqued my interest because it's not just got Liam Neeson in it, it's got Sigourney Weaver in it as well. And any movie that's got Bayona attached to it, you know he's going to do something completely different. So this might be... This is a step away from what Neeson's used to doing with something like Run All Night. So we'll see what he's like, but that's not out until the end of next year.
I'm just wondering as well, thinking about the trailer for Once Upon a Time in the West with the Ted voiceover, wondering whether or not Liam Neeson realises he's in the film. I'm just wondering if that's going to be like a commentary on Ted 2. Does Liam Neeson realise he's in this?
Well, we'll see. He might be doing the Flash Gordon thing and just play himself, but completely overblown himself. If that's the case, then I can understand why he's done it, because he can then see that he is making too many of these stupid thriller movies, and he can at least take the mickey out of himself, which I hope that's the case.
There is a great YouTube video, if you're out there and search for it. I'll have to maybe see if I can find it and put it on the site, but it's a spoof of like Tom Tom, the navigator things.
Yeah.
And it's a voices done by celebrities, but it's obviously someone pretending to be them. And there's one I can't remember who it was the original one is, but it then has at the end of it, I think it's a Morgan Freeman actually. It's a Morgan Freeman spoof one, and it's you're driving, you're going, during the Morgan Freeman, and at the end of it, it shows a different one. And it's Liam Neeson. He's like, "Get in the car, drive now," and you should check it out if you can.
At number 5 is a new entry for The Gunman,
which is a film that has not done very well, but it's done better than Wildcard. I really liked it. I thought it was a very, very well sort of tensely wrought thriller. I liked that it was very complex, more so than I think that a lot of people are struggling with it. But I found it was perfectly enjoyable. I had fun with it. I liked it, and I actually think it's amongst some of the better thrillers that I've seen. It's not an action film; it's a thriller.
At number 4 is Focus,
which I enjoyed, but I have problems with it. It's not especially well written. It is a film that is trying to do... It's got sort of Will Smith trying to do more than he's been doing of late, but then still relying on his good looks and charm to get through. But charm is what the whole thing's about, so you can forgive it that a bit. And it's good. It's predictable, but it's not anywhere near as good as it should be, and it's let down by a bit of a hammy ending.
At number 3 is The Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
Still not seen it.
Yeah, I've said everything I can about it. I think it's more of a TV movie rather than a movie. At number 2 is a new entry for the Divergent series, Insurgent,
which I like, but not as much as the first film. I think because it's invariably the Divergent series and is being compared with the Hunger Games because they're both based on novels and a series, and it's a similar thing. But I like the first Divergent film more than the Hunger Games films, but I don't like the Divergent second film more than the Hunger Games. It's very weak. I think it's been dumbed down. It has a solid sort of bit there, but also because it is the middle book of a series, it suffers from having no real ending and just basically being a setup for the last part.
Yeah, it's Robert Schweitker who directed it. Did he do the first one as well?
I don't think he did the first one. No, I think it was someone else.
You can tell. You can definitely tell that it's somebody different directing it, because I think he did just go for a one where he went, I'm just going to make this an action film and make it very little storyline to it. And the storyline is really simple.
It's been rock
dumbed down.
Yeah, it's been made into more of a bit of a... It's
MTV.
been directed by someone... Yeah, MTV it has, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
It's not bad film. It's just pales in comparison to the other one and to the Hunger Games films, which is a shame.
Completely agree with that. Now, number 1 is a new entry for Home, nearly taking just over double the amount of Divergent Insurgent.
Yeah, but it just isn't as funny as it should be. It's disappointing. It's got an uneven story. It's got characters you don't really care about, and it has moments in it. I mean, it gets some laughs, but there's especially other DreamWorks films, Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon films, and especially Kung Fu Panda. All of them much funnier than this. It's just disappointingly average to below average, to be honest.
Yeah, I think instead of all being the character who should steal the show, I think the one that steals the show out of everything is the cat Pig. Because the cat doesn't do very much. You see him dancing in the background when the music's playing, and the scene when you see sitting on the chair and it just moves into shot and you see the cat on your head. I'm actually more laughing at the cat rather than O's reaction on the look on his face, and I think the cat just completely steals the movie for me.
I thought it was Steve Martin's character more.
No, he grated on me a little bit. I just, to me, it just shows you how much the film is lacking if the cat is the one that steals the show. It's the non-voiced character in the film who steals the film itself. The animation is nice, but at times it's lacking in detail. specifically in the characters. I don't think there's very much emotion on their faces. It's very stoic, which is annoying considering that there's a fantastically beautiful scene when O and Tip are in the hover car, the slushiest, at night time in the middle of the ocean, and you've got the stars just being reflected in the ocean, and then O jumps into the water. It's just brilliant, that scene, because the animation is beautiful, yet their faces just don't show that. So I've seen it twice, actually. And I've seen it in both 2D and 3D.
Well, I mean, I thought the 3D was fine, but really, it's not a funny film, and it should have been.
Yeah, I forgot that I was watching a 3D film when I watched it in 3D. It shows you how the 3D doesn't make much of an impact in it, because there's just a couple of scenes where the 3D is shown, but I completely forgot I was watching a 3D movie.
Okay, that's the UK box office number 1 then, so let's go into our first review, so we've got so many to get through.
Yep, so first off is Cinderella. It's directed by Kenneth Branagh, and to be honest, do I actually need to explain the plot of Cinderella? How many people out there don't know the story of Cinderella already?
Yeah, I don't hear anyone going me, so...
Yeah, that I was actually waiting for some kind of response there, but what Kenneth Branagh has done is he's sort of like, you can look at it and think he's been really faithful to the Cinderella story, which you know what it is. It's a girl who's has to stay with her stepmother and her stepmother's 2 children. She'd rather look after the 2 children more so than she. She badly treats Cinderella. All of a sudden, the king announces that he's going to have a ball and invites everybody in there. Cinderella wants to go, but unfortunately, the stepmother refuses her. So she needs help from a fairy godmother to transform a pumpkin and some mice and stuff like that. So she'll go to a ball. Once the ball's finished, she leaves a glass slipper there, and the king needs to hunt for who belongs to the glass slipper. So that's the basic story of Cinderella. But what Kenneth Branagh has decided to do is interject some little moments where it tries to veer off the path a little bit. And here's a clip, one of the only clips that doesn't tell the normal story of Cinderella. It tells us a little bit of some extra bits interleaved into the story.
Where do you live, Mr. Kit?
At the palace. My father's teaching me his trade.
You're an apprentice?
Of a sort.
That's very fine. Do they treat you well?
Better than I deserve, most likely. And you?
They treat me as well as they're able.
I'm sorry.
It's not your doing.
Nor yours either, I'll bet.
It's not so very bad. Others have it worse, I'm sure. We must simply have courage and be kind, mustn't we?
Yes. You're right. That's exactly how I feel.
Please don't let them hurt him.
But we're hunting, you see. It's what's done.
Just because it's what's done doesn't mean it's what should be done.
Right again.
So in that clip there, you heard Lily James, who plays Cinderella, and Richard Madden, who plays the prince. And interleaved throughout the story, you've got the voiceover, which is done by the fairy godmother, who is Helena Bonham Carter, and then you've got the stepmother, who's played by Cate Blanchett, who steals the entirety of the movie. Because I think she looks very much like a femme fatale from the 1930s, 1940s, especially the way that she's dressed. It's like she's taken costumes from movies like Gone with the Wind. Very tight dresses that cling to her but show off her full-on figure, and then hats, which has just got a little tip to them. So he's sort of like took a few little elements that you would not normally expect to be expanded on, and maybe he's pushed that into there. But the problem with the film is it's so close to the original source material. You can predict everything that's going to happen next. And I know that might seem like it's fine because you can go into the movie and enjoy the movie rather than you going, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder what's going to happen next. But for me, the enjoyment out of seeing a movie is not knowing what's going to happen next. When a movie's actually based on source material, what a director normally does is takes liberties with that source material and tries to do his own interpretation from it. Uses that source material as a blueprint and then fleshes it out in movie form. So that's why when you see a book adaptation like The Hunger Games getting turned into a film, a lot of people who've read the book, when they see the film, they'll say, oh, that element was there, but he's managed to do something different with it. A prime example for me is all of the Harry Potter series, because I've read every single one of the Harry Potter books, and the books expand a lot in the movie, but the movie manages to tell a different enough story where it makes it feel slightly different from the books. Whereas with this, it's so close to the original Cinderella story that it feels like you've watched it over and over again. Despite what Kenneth Branagh can bring to a movie with these opulence, these brilliant set pieces, the fantastic costumes, the fantastic sets, the designs of the sets, the acting as well. The acting is actually really good, apart from the annoying voiceover from Helena Bonham Carter. It just feels like you're treading exactly the same ground, and it's lazy from Disney to do that. They should have told Kenneth Branagh to try to take a few more liberties to try and tell something more of a different story. And yeah, we got bits of that in Into the Woods and movies like that. But you need to make your films feel different to what you've done before, even if they're using the same source material, not copycat them. And you're copycatting a movie that was released in the 50s originally. And it's been told that story multiple times before, but at least when it's been told multiple times before, it feels slightly different. It feels like we're watching something extra. Whereas with this, it feels like we're watching an 80-minute movie that we've seen before, and 10 minutes that Kenneth Branagh thought, oh, I'm going to actually interject this little bit into here. So I think it's a lazy film, but its plus sides make the film to be good, but it could have been much better.
Okay, on to Get Hard, which is the comedy which stars Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. Will Ferrell is a sort of broker in a company. Everything seems to be going fine for him. He's engaged. He's living in a big, massive house. He's rich beyond his wildest dreams, and then he gets arrested for fraud. Finds out that he's been sort of all these things going on, and he apparently is the person who's been involved in them. He is sentenced to be going to jail for 10 years after not accepting a plea bargain, and is given 30 days to get his affairs in order. Along comes Darnell, a character played by Kevin Hart, who is sort of the man who runs the car cleaning service of his company. He goes to him and says to him, I need your help. I need you to make me strong and give me sort of experience so I will survive in prison, believing that Darnell has been in prison previously when Darnell has in fact never been in prison. Here's a clip.
Wait, what happened to my tennis court?
James, you will no longer refer to this area as a tennis court. From this point on, this is the yard. Understand something, James? The yard is the most deadliest part of prison. You gotta step carefully, because if you step in the wrong place at the wrong time, you'll end up in the wrong territory. For a person like you that can't fight, it's not a good thing, James. Not a good thing at all.
Okay, Darnell.
Who's Darnell?
You are.
My name is Leroy. Yeah, I suggest you walk, white boy.
All right.
Walk!
I'm walking.
Turn around and walk!
I'm walking.
Hey, that's it. You got a problem, gringo?
Darnell, what are you doing?
Darnell? Who's Darnell, S.A.? You're looking at Carlos.
Okay.
I suggest you walk wherever you came from, S.A., before you have a problem.
I just was trying to leave that area.
Go back where you belong.
I don't know where I belong.
Leave him alone. You belong with me.
I don't want that.
So, here's the thing with Get Hard. It's not especially funny. I did laugh at a couple of jokes in there, but all the way through it, there were bits when I giggled. The audience were giggling, but there was no point, any point in the film where the audience seemed to be really laughing and really engaging with it. And the thing is, it has some ideas that are pretty good, and it has some setups that are pretty good, and just doesn't do anything with them. It's a shame, because it's actually one that has a couple of moments in it where you're going, this could be really funny, but it's not. It has a couple of moments in particular as well where it starts to go into the whole thing of whites versus blacks, and that in particular, and that a couple of times was kind of uncomfortable, and it made you kind of wonder, should I be laughing at this, or should I be, annoyed by it, or concerned, or should I be sort of shocked? And it's one of these things. It's like when you look at things like Family Guy that Seth MacFarlane does, and he does these things where he manages to do very on the nose, very controversial, but very kind of apt, accurate, and funny. And that's what this is trying to do, but it's failing. It's not being apt. It's not managing to basically say, this is how it is, but you know it's true, and it's shocking, and it's real, but yeah, it's funny. And that's why it's funny, because of the fact of that it's shocking, it shouldn't be, but it's true, and yet, obviously, you're still laughing at it. And this wants to be like that. It's not. You kind of watch it and you're going, oh, should I laugh? Oh, that's, I don't know, oh, and you just end up sort of squirming in your seat thinking, it's a bit unpleasant. So it really is tonally just a mess. Not to mention the fact of that I don't think Kevin Hart's especially funny. Will Ferrell is funny, but just not in this.
I have no intentions to see it, to be honest, because I'm not a fan of Will Ferrell at all, and Kevin Hart I can't stand, so that's putting two people together who I'm not a fan of at all. So
I look forward to seeing what you think on DVD and Blu-ray when it comes out then.
Yeah, well, let's see. I'm just seeing a piece of news here which we didn't report in the standard news, and I don't know how much you know about this, but Dennis Hopper has died at the age of 74.
Oh, wow.
After suffering from prostate cancer. He passed away on Saturday. And there's been lots of tributes being poured in. Actress Marlene Moulton says he was a maverick, a wonderful actor. Guitarist Slash says you take the great ones for granted until they're gone. R.I.P. Dennis Hopper.
Did it not? I'm just looking. Yeah, he didn't die. He hasn't just died. He died. He passed away in 2010.
This is according to Fox 9/11 411. So I don't know what they're reporting at.
Yeah, no, he passed away in 2010. I thought. Hang on a second, Dennis Hopper. Yeah, he passed away in 2010.
I don't know. I was looking to see if that was true or not, looking on news now, and nothing was actually put up on there. So it's just that if that's a joke or whatever, that's nasty.
I wouldn't. Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
That's horrible if that's a joke. Then so Fox, you're horrible. You're really horrible if that's a joke. I know April Fool's Day is around the corner, but come on. Yeah, I hate Fox now. Right, on to the next film. SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Oh, this should be interesting for me. It's directed by Paul Tibbett, and this is the second SpongeBob film to be shown on the big screen. I put up on the post on the website, and I thought I wasn't sure about the 2004 movie. But there was a film released in 2004. I wasn't sure if it was released in the cinemas or not, but evidently it was. So this is the second outing for SpongeBob movie. And if you know what to expect from the SpongeBob SquarePants TV series, it's a really strange TV movie where, let's just say, it's not aimed at kids as well. It's adults who seem to enjoy a bit too much of things. But I'll try my best to actually go through the story. The story is centers around a pirate in Burger Beard, who's played by Antonio Banderas. And at the start of the film, he's reading from a tome, a book that he finds, to some seagulls. And he's regaling a story of a sponge named SpongeBob Squarepants who lives at the bottom of the sea. I'm not going to burst into song, so you should be glad about that. And he works at the Krusty Krab, where they have a secret formula for their Krabby Patties. And there is a bad guy called Plankton who's always after the Krabby Patty formula. And so when the Krabby Patty formula disappears, SpongeBob gets the blame along with Plankton. And so they have to try and fix together a time machine that helps them go back into time to try and find out where the Krabby Patty formula is. During that, they go into multiple different areas. One includes into the future, where you've got a time-travelling dolphin which spits out lasers from the top of its head called Bubbles. They manage to discover where the Krabby Patty formula is gone, but again, things start taking a really strange twisty-turny there, and ultimately it leads to on land, where this character of Burger Beard could be more than he seems. That's the best I can actually do with a really weird storyline as it is. We've got a clip which is, I don't know if this will annoy you or what, but just listen to this.
Mr. Krabs, I'm telling you, he's innocent.
What are you gonna do, Krabs? Pour hot oil on me? Or put bamboo shoots under my nails?
No. Knock, knock.
Knock, knock jokes. I can do this all day, Krabs.
Knock, knock.
Oh, boy. Who's there?
Jimmy.
Jimmy ho. Jimmy, back my formula, Plankton! Well, that's stupid, but how is it torture? You'll see.
Jimmy, back my formula. Oh, I get it!
Oh, make it stop, Krabs! Make it stop!
That's just. Sorry, I was distracted by that sound. That's so weird. But I was kind of smiling.
Yeah, it does make you smile just a little bit. But again, that's the film is so weird. This is a kids' film as well. That there is a part where one of the characters. I'm not so familiar with the Spongebob Squarepants series. I know of it, and I've seen little bits and bobs of it. But there is a scene where one of them, who runs the Krusty Krab, who's the manager of the Krusty Krab, he ends off stripping into bondage outfit and says, "This is going to get weird." This isn't a kids' film rated PG. For God's sakes, this happens in the animated section of the film, because the way the film's actually split, it's split into, for the first 2/3 of the movie, it's the traditional animation that you would normally get in a SpongeBob SquarePants episode, and for the final third of the film, it goes live action, and that's where the movie fails. That's where the movie tries to be funny, and that's the stuff that you'll have seen in the trailer, where it's advertising the film to be, but that's not the case. That's only the last 15-20 minutes of the movie, and that's what drags the movie down. If the movie just kept to being one kind of thing and didn't use the character of Burger Beard in the live action form, maybe used it in animation form, I think it would have been a much better film. It would have flowed much better. But because of the fact that the last 20 minutes feels disjointed from the movie, it feels like a 70-minute movie with a 20 minutes just added onto it. And the 70 minutes of it is strange beyond belief. It's the kind of humour that you would see in SpongeBob SquarePants. Nothing is different from it, so they haven't tried to change it, which is a good thing, because then people who are familiar with with the SpongeBob SquarePants TV series, they're going to love this. It has all the jokes. It has the annoying laugh that you heard from SpongeBob just there. But the squeal from Plankton, it just makes you giggle, and it's got loads of little things like that with a storyline that's so complex. It's even going to make theoretical physicists scratch their heads. So it is funny at times. It has some funny jokes, but for me, it's the last 20 minutes which majorly lets down the movie. It stops the movie from being a really enjoyable animated film to being above average, which is annoying because I quite like the first 70 minutes. But it just proves that something in a film can actually spoil it.
So you can enjoy it. You don't have to know SpongeBob or anything to actually see it and enjoy it. Because
it is so nuts, it's so just gaga cuckoo that you can't help yourself but laugh at the strange things that's happening on the screen. Time traveling dolphins that shoot lasers called bubbles, a bondage crab, a plankton who's about 2 foot tall, well, less than 2 foot tall, who's trying to actually steal a formula for Krabby Patties. There's a squirrel as well, who's friends with SpongeBob SquarePants, who lives in an air bubble, who has to go around with an oxygen mask on just to be friends with them, who watches ordinary TV.
Okay. I think that's enough sort of kids' films for you then for the moment. Okay, go on to Seventh Son, which is directed by Sergei Bodrov. It is based on the novel The Spook's Apprentice by Joseph Delaney. It is a fantasy drama sort of action film with Jeff Bridges playing this character who is what's called a spook, who is a person who travels the land and deals with all sort of things supernatural and sort of possessions and witches and that kind of thing. His latest apprentice ends up being killed, so he has to go and find a new one, who turns out to be something about the seventh son of the seventh son, will be the person who is the most best suited to being a spook. Enter the character of Ben Barnes, who is the seventh son of a seventh son, who is basically bought by Jeff Bridges' character because he needs him in order to help fight off the evil sort of Queen Mother Maitland, who is played by Julianne Moore, plays a witch who has the ability to turn herself into a dragon. And despite the fact of that, Ben Barnes' character Tom Ward, realising obviously this is his sort of role, what he has to do, doesn't find himself particularly good at it. Here's a clip.
The rowing staff, carved by the very first Falcon Knight. Finest fighting staff there is. Master it, and you can master any weapon. Show me what you are! I paid good money for you. I think your father deceived me of your worth. Are you not the seventh son of a seventh son? You ought to be 7 times as strong as the normal man. Your ma'am, she did not put up much of a fight to keep you, did she? You are worthless. There's not enough time. You'll be dead in a week. Good aim.
I was aiming for your head.
Missed.
So, this is the thing with Seven Son. If you heard that clip, you can hear Jeff Bridges just talking. He's kind of like doing a thing like he's trying to do Bane, but it's crossed with his R.I.P.D. character voice. It's like, wow, chewing a bubblegum or something all the way through. Very, very weird pronunciation of his words. And it's quite awful having to listen to that for a full duration of the movie. It's the fact of that there are moments in it where you have things going on that you're kind of watching, okay, what? And you kind of sit there going, okay, something's been sort of cut out there because it just makes jumps in the story and jumps in the character. Things happen far too quickly. Julianne Moore is full-on scenery chewing performance in every single scene she's in. Jeff Bridges is pretty much chewing it, and you can actually hear him, I'm sure, chewing it at certain points, chewing the scenery at certain points. You have also this thing of that there's a character introduced played by Alicia Vikander, who plays another witch who's potentially good, or is she connected with the other witch, or is the things going on? And you have Olivia Williams making a small appearance, and Anne Terrell making a small appearance as well. And they're all roles that are kind of throwaway because most of all the film is just throwaway. It's a film that it took forever to be delayed. It's been delayed for over a year with problems in production and the cost of production extending it, and you can see that it's just not any good and why they took so long to do it, and they probably had to reshoot and redo certain things. And also that they've had that long, even the special effects aren't that good. There's parts in it where special effects are quite terrible, especially to do with the dragons and how that sort of works. So it's really quite disappointing because I like these fantasy kind of films. I like things like that, but this really just doesn't make the muster. It's pretty terrible. It is, as we said about earlier, the whole thing of it being a potential threat to Julianne Moore winning the Oscar. Thankfully it didn't, because it was released in America before the Oscars, but it really, you kind of wonder, it's making me wonder now in particular how much Still Alice must be really, really good in order that she still won it, given the fact that she's in this and it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, it is really awful. Like I said to you after I saw the film on Facebook, I thought Jeff Bridges was a cross between his character from R.I.P.D. and the Colonel from a fast food restaurant, because he looks a lot like that, and I completely agree with you with the way he actually delivers his lines. You can barely hear them. There's parts in the film where it goes quiet and expecting him to speak, and you can still barely hear him. Ben Barnes, who's supposedly the lead actor in the movie, he thinks that he's still on the set of the Chronicles of Narnia. That he's making a more adulty version of the Chronicles of Narnia. And so the film, the problem with these high fantasy action movies is they're trying to be like the spirits of the Ray Harryhausen 70s movies, 60s and 70s movies, these Clash of the Titans, and none of them managed to get up to that kind of level, to that enjoyment at all, because they heavily rely so much on CGI to get their story across that it feels badly. Yet if you still look at a Clash of the Titans from the 1970s, it's still enjoyable to watch, because even though you've got the clunky skeletons and all that kind of stuff, they're still trying to tell a serious story in there. And so with this one, you're just thinking to yourself, are you making this as a joke? It just feels like it is a joke.
It has similarities with the 47 Ronin film, the Keanu Reeves one, that was again also delayed and had problems, and is a big fantasy thing and has, you know, a witch and a dragon and stuff like that. But I have to say, actually, this is worse than 47 Ronin. 47 Ronin was actually not bad, it was just not great, and it was enjoyable, it was okay. This is just, honestly, you get to the end of it and you go, well, that's just really, really poor.
I agree with you.
It's not even as if you get angry about it. You just walk out and go, it literally is a walk out of the movie and go, well, that's an hour and whatever it was that's just wasted.
Yeah, I agree with you, even though I didn't like 47 Ronin at all myself. Keanu Reeves was a charisma vacuum in that movie. I still think it was a better movie, because at least it just still had a few little enjoyable scenes. This one, there was nothing enjoyable about it at all.
Yeah, and it's just terrible everything. Writing, characters, action, effects...
Exactly, everything. Right, Robot Overlords, speaking about terrible special effects, but it's sort of like the budget, I'm guessing, for Robot Overlord was much less than it was on Seventh Son. But Robot Overlords is directed by John Wright, and it's set in present day time, but what's happened is robots have come to the planet and explain right at the start of the film they're not here to colonize the Earth or put us into slavery or anything like that. They're here to supposedly help us, when in fact they are here to actually enslave us. And so curfew is put upon us by these robots. If you're out at a specific time, you've got this collar thing on your neck. You're given a 10-second countdown. If you do not get back into your house within that 10 seconds, you are evaporated. But supposedly you don't die. Your consciousness is put into a big, giant, massive computer. Now, working with these Robot Overlords, you've got the character of Robin Smythe, who's played by Ben Kingsley, in very much like Thunderbirds Ben Kingsley, not the Ben Kingsley we like to see when he's very malevolent. It's when he's like very campy malevolent. He plays a person who works alongside them, who's sort of like their second in command, or the human person who thinks that he's not going to be harmed by them. And then you've got this resistant group of kids who's led by Callan McCauley's character, who plays Sean. And for some reason, for some plot reason, he discovers that he's able to control these robots. And it's never alluded how. And he comes up with a plan to try and stop them by maybe shocking the collars that are on them, to try and beat them to be out there for a while. And then his mother gets embroiled in it, who's played by Gillian Anderson. And it's just about him trying to stop the robots while also trying to save his mother. The problem with Robot Overlords, though, is it feels more like a Doctor Who episode. Or it feels like more like the Sarah Jane Chronicles, the spin-off from Doctor Who. It feels more like something like that. Something like the CBBC channel would actually create as an extended movie to show on a time like Easter or on Christmas. It feels more like that. It does not feel a movie that needs to be shown on the big screen at all, because of the budget. The budget is so small that the robots are just squares. They just feel like they're just made up of few squares, and that's about it. The motherships are, in fact, a square. And then the worst part of the movie is this boy character who's supposed to be the robot's interpretation of a human, and it's really badly animated. Very clunky, the kind of thing that you would have seen from a 90s movie rather than a movie that's out now. And for some reason, I don't get what the audience for this movie is. I don't think Doctor Who fans will enjoy it, because they'll look at it and think, yeah, even this is too clunky for our TV series. Yeah, kids will watch it and think, I prefer Transformers. They'll just honestly want to go off and watch Transformers, which is not a good thing. If a movie's forcing you to go off and watch a really bad film like Transformers, then yeah, I don't see what Robot Overlords was out there to do. It's a movie that just it's a bit pointless in my opinion.
Okay, we're going to go very quickly over The Signal, which has got a very limited release, but it's a movie where you have three main characters that are. It's a small indie film, but basically three main characters who are MIT students, almost get thrown out of MIT because of something that happens, and they're sort of almost blamed for it. Turns out that there is a hacker named Nomad that's the one that's sort of responsible for it. They track him down, go to investigate, and find there's this sort of house, sort of abandoned shack out in the middle of the sort of Nevada desert. When they go there, they sort of realise this can't be right, it's not right, but then end up finding themselves sort of taken somewhere else, where one of them in particular wakes up finding himself in a sort of isolation room being interviewed by a character being played by Lawrence Fishburne. Here's a clip.
Can you speak?
Where am I? I can't move.
Can you tell me your name?
Nicholas Eastman.
I'm Damon. Dr. Wallace Damon. I'm heading up the transition team that's going to help you, help all of us understand exactly what you've been through.
What are you talking about?
Can you recall for me the first time you encountered the signal?
So The Signal, as it turns out, is something which I won't go into, but it's a very odd thing, and then the film gets odd and weirder from there onwards. And here's the thing with The Signal: it's a film that you go into it, you're watching it, and it's kind of one of these films that starts off as one thing and then it becomes something else, but in a good way. And there are twists and turns and things that you may predict, and it's brilliantly put together for a little indie film. And it's got some nice effects, which are sometimes a little bit rough, but it's obviously, you can see it's on a sort of limited budget. But it's really quite enjoyable, and I love the way it was put together. I love the way it was done. I do have some qualms about the ending. I found the ending, I thought, was a bit of a letdown, because they're giving everything that sets it up. But I've seen films that I've come out the end of it and gone worse sort of feeling and worse response to it. That at the end, I enjoyed it, I really liked it, and I gotta say, I'm surprised and I'm really disappointed it's not getting a bigger release, because it needs to be out there more.
Yeah, the thing with The Signal, and sort of like the same with Predestination as well, which is out on Blu-ray and DVD in a couple of weeks' time, is it's sci-fi that's intelligent again. Because we seem to be having breaks in between when we get intelligent sci-fi. You look at things like Inception and things like that, and then we get brain dead sci-fi where you're just scratching your head and going, why am I watching this? And then we get intelligent sci-fi again, and I really love it when sci-fi gets really intelligent, because that's the thing with science fiction films. You can go down routes where the storyline can be complex and you can keep people's interest, because that's what science fiction is all about. And so with this movie, I think it's a perfect double bill alongside Predestination. By the end of the double bill, though, you're going to have a major migraine from thinking too much. But I think that they'll both suit each other really well.
And it's a film that, as I say, even for being an indie film, because it's an indie film, there's more interest in it. There's more of a struggle with them bringing it to the screen. And that seems to be what's made it a better film. Not having loads of money... Instead of that, having people who really want to get it done.
Yeah, who were more interested in telling the story rather than just throwing hundreds of special effects at you. Which, well done for doing that, because that's intelligent movie making rather than just mundane movie making.
Yep. We're going to take a quick ad break now, and then we'll be back as well after that with this week's DVD and Blu-ray section, so stick around.
There was a real sense of you were doing something wrong, but that did give it that feeling of excitement.
When the reveal of the film happens, that's when it just becomes absurd.
And the atmosphere and just the sense you get whenever you go into it is
undeniable.
It did absolutely zero for me, which could be for the hype.
What we've just discussed there is just scratching the surface on it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted, and you're listening to From Page to Screen, the horror show.
Alright, welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. We're now into the home release section where we'll look at the Blu-ray and DVD top 10 and then review these films.
Yeah, we have the sequel to Horrible Bosses, back with Horrible Bosses 2, believe it or not. Christopher Nolan's big epic science fiction Interstellar. We have Bill Murray starring in St. Vincent. We have kids animation in Penguins of Madagascar. Musical biopic in Get On Up. And then finally, bargain bucket horror with Fear Clinic.
Yeah, and on top of that we have our TV movie of the week, and we will reveal what our film of the week is. But let's kick things off as we normally do with the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
Yep, starting at number 10 with The Lion King.
Which is still under the Disney's buy one, get one free, which includes Frozen. I'm surprised that's not in the top 10.
Also includes number 9, Beauty and the Beast.
Which, like we said in the cinema section of the show, it is getting a live-action version of it. I don't know why. I love the animated version of it.
Do you remember the TV series as well?
Yes,
with
I
Linda
did.
Hamilton and Ron Perlman.
Yeah, my parents were obsessed with it, especially my mum. She absolutely loved Beauty and the Beast, the TV series. Not the sort like I don't think she ever saw the updated version of it, the one that gets shown on Sky Living in the UK. I don't think she saw that one, but she loved the early 90s one.
Number 8 is Gone Girl.
We've said everything we can about Gone Girl. I think it's just overly too long.
But I like it. Number 7 is The Maze Runner.
Good stepping stone to the sequel that's coming out next year.
Yeah, both those movies making a sort of a jump up the charts from the mid-20s. So probably, I'm guessing, sort of gone on a lower price in the stores now. New entry at number 6 for The Homesman.
I've yet to see.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a disappointing western, but it's not so much a western as it is a drama, just set in a western setting. And great performance from Hilary Swank, decent performance and decent direction from Tommy Lee Jones, but it will be, I think some people will not find it to their taste. Another new entry at number 5 for The Drop.
Which I'm happy to see it actually getting into the chart, especially that high. It's very well acted by everybody involved, including Tom Hardy, and James Gandolfini's final role. Also, Noomi Rapace appears in the movie. And it's just a very self-contained drama. It's not interested in throwing a lot at you. It's more interested in telling a very simplistic story, and more and for you to latch onto the characters, which I really do like watching films every now and again, which does that. It's more about the characters rather than about what are the big flash bang wallop things about it. So very well acted by Tom Hardy and James Gandolfini. Very interesting drama.
Dropping down to number 4 is Fury.
Which again, we've said absolutely everything we can about Fury. I think it just lacks a lot. It's a David Ayer who's still yet to hit the highs that he did with End of Watch, in my opinion.
Number 3 is in The Imitation Game.
Again, another film where this is the worst thing about the Blu-ray and DVD top 10. We seem to tread a lot of familiar ground over and over again, but The Imitation Game is brilliantly acted again. It's a very interesting drama telling you about the Enigma code and how it was cracked, but not just about the Enigma code. It was about the people who were actually involved in it as well.
Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1's knocked down from last week's number 1 to number 2.
Better on the second viewing rather over the first viewing, because then you realise what kind of movie it is, considering that if you see it for the first time you're expecting to see the kind of action that you've seen in the previous 2 Hunger Games movies. That's not what this movie's about. This movie's about the politics, about 2 people who support both opposite ends of the spectrum, whether you support the people, the high and mighty people, or whether you support the people who want to fight for rights. And so it's more about, it's interesting to see the film released now, considering that in the UK we're going through a general election in a few weeks' time. So it's just interesting to see this film released now on Blu-ray and DVD, because it has very ties to that kind of thing. So it's much more interesting on a second viewing, but you have to realise you won't get the big, huge, massive action set pieces that you expect to see from the previous 2.
And so the new entry at number 1 is Paddington.
Yeah, a lovely kids adventure film, family adventure film. It's not fair to actually tie it down to just a kids' movie. It's nice to see Paddington on the big screen. I think this is his big screen debut, especially live action. Anywhere, and it's just enjoyable. It's a proper old fashioned family adventure where everybody can get something from it.
Yep, and a great animation character as well, because there's so much emotion and so much put into the character of Paddington.
Definitely. Right, and brilliantly voiced by Ben Whishaw as well.
Yeah.
On to our first review of the Blu-ray and DVDs.
Yep, Horrible Bosses 2, which is written and directed by Sean Anders. It is the return of the three characters played by Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis and Charlie Day from the first movie, having sort of overcome their employment under particularly horrible bosses in the first film. Find the three of them sort of coming together as a team and making their own business. They sort of arrange this thing where they come up with this new design of the shower buddy. It's a thing that's going to revolutionise showering in a way that all these kind of things would never happen and stuff. They managed to make a big order with a character played by Christoph Waltz. They go away, organise all this, do all the things of that, come back to him later and find he's actually stolen their design and left them basically with big massive debts. They decide then what they're going to do is kidnap his son, played by Chris Pine, ending up resulting in them going back to help from their character, their friend, played by Jamie Foxx in the first film, who makes another appearance, as we're going to hear in this clip.
Good luck out there, boys.
Why are you
laugh about?
I
just said good luck.
No, but you said it. You said it with giggles.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe you guys might want a little bit of advice.
You got one on the hook. Give it to him.
It's going to cost you 51% share of your company.
You're
It's
out.
going to cost you 2% share of your company.
It's so weird how you negotiate. It's just probably you can have that. There's I'd a like my middle watch ground. back, though.
Here's the advice, young man. Y'all criminals. See, you can't have this both ways. Every time you guys come in here, you're like, oh, we're just a bunch of happy-go-lucky guys. Once again, through no fault of our own, we found ourselves in another pickle. You tried to kill your bosses. One of them ended up dead. Now you want to perpetrate a kidnapping? You three are the craziest criminals I've ever seen in my life. You want to pull it off? You got to act like it.
So here's the thing with Horrible Bosses 2. I was not a big fan of the first film. It's one of these comedy films where there were things in it I thought unnecessary. It's a gross out comedy, didn't really need to be there. And basically this is more of the same. But the thing is, you've now got the thing of that they are the bosses. They're not particularly horrible. You have this whole thing as well that there are characters that come back from the first film, in particular Jennifer Aniston's character, who's just completely pointless and it's just unnecessary. And basically that is the way to describe this film. Unnecessary. It doesn't need to be made. It is a cash cow. It's not even funny at any point. I genuinely didn't laugh once. I found Charlie Day's character in particular extremely annoying, considering that he can be actually quite fun and funny if you see him in things like Pacific Rim. He's playing a character there and it's almost could be the same thing annoying, but it's actually quite fun. In this, you just honestly want to just hurt him. You honestly think as well, his character and Jason Sudeikis' character couldn't really be this thick, could they? And Jason Bateman's character is so patronising that there's no redeeming character. There's no redeeming characters in these characters whatsoever. So I just think it's a complete and utter waste of time. I hate it. It's not funny. I don't ever want to see it again. And I really hope they don't do Horrible Bosses 3, because then they won't only be sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel, they'll be actually scraping through the barrel into the ground and just digging up dead bodies or something.
Yeah, I didn't mind Horrible Bosses. Me and comedies, we don't mix very well at all. Well, like Gremlins. If you sort of like feed gremlins at midnight, they turn into horrible things, and that's what I do when I watch comedies, because most of the time they just annoy me. And the first one, it did have its annoying moments, but it had enough in there to make me giggle a few times. This one, it annoyed the hell out of me because of not only Charlie Day's character, which is he's whiny throughout the movie, which puts you off completely. It's just the fact that they've gone in the very stereotypical sort of like Hangover 2 direction, where they've tried to go more gross out than being funny, because out of all the three Hangover films, the first one is the best one because it's the one that has their couple of decent jokes in it. the worst one is the second one. That's the case with Horrible Bosses too. The worst one is the second one because the fact that it is trying to just go out for gross out humour. They've took Jennifer Aniston's character and just ran with sort of like running a small little undercurrent joke through the first film and just went, let's blow this out of proportion and let's make her just insatiable and over the top through the film. And again, like with Charlie Day, she's really annoying. There's nothing about this movie that made me laugh. More so cringe, as a matter of fact. I just was watching this and thinking to myself, do you realise what you're seeing and what characters you're playing?
Yep. It's a complete waste.
It is major waste. Right, on to the next release of the week, Interstellar. It's a tiny, tiny little movie directed by a tiny little director in Christopher Nolan. And it stars Matthew McConaughey, who's on his reconnaissance. I hate that saying. Why do critics say reconnaissance? It's horrible, isn't it? But yeah, I've used it there, unfortunately. Bad me. And he plays the character of Cooper, and he lives on a farm in the American Midwest, set somewhere in the future, but the time is never actually determined. It could be set sort of like very Westworld kind of thing, or something like that, but you're unsure what period of time it's set. But he lives on a farm with his 10-year-old daughter, who's played by Mackenzie Foy at the age of 10, then later on in the film by Jessica Chastain, and by his son as well. And he's trying to... All is left on Earth because Earth has become much more of an arid place. Sandstorms happen too many times. The crops aren't growing properly, even though all we see now is farmers. And that's what he's trying to live his life as. Cooper, he's trying to live his life as a farmer. He was an ex-scientist, but now he just needs to look after his family. And during a sandstorm, when they're trying to escape and trying to get away from things, they end up discovering an undiscoverable base, a base that's out in the middle of nowhere. And there they discover a scientist who's played by Michael Caine, who was a professor who's involved with a project where they can send people into space and ultimately try to find the next planet for humans to actually live on. And so a mission is sent out to be able to do that. Here's a clip which is one of the only clips out there, to be honest, because a lot of clips for the film just seems to be talking heads or interleaving bits from the trailer and TV spots, as they're known as. So here's a clip which just involves Matthew McConaughey's character, who's been called into school because of a reason for his daughter.
Murph is a great kid. She's really bright, but she's been having a little trouble lately. She brought this in to show the other students the section on the lunar landings.
Yeah, that's one of my old textbooks. She always loved the pictures.
It's an old federal textbook. We've replaced them with the corrected versions.
Corrected?
Explaining how the Apollo missions were fake to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
You don't believe we went to the moon?
I believe it was a brilliant piece of propaganda that the Soviets bankrupted themselves, pouring resources into rockets and other useless machines.
Useless machines?
And if we don't want a repeat of the excess and wastefulness of the 20th century, then we need to teach our kids about this planet, not tales of leaving it.
You know, one of those useless machines they used to make was called an MRI. And if we had any of those left, the doctors would have been able to find the cyst in my wife's brain before she died instead of afterwards. And then she'd have been the one sitting there listening to this instead of me, which would have been a good thing because she was always the calmer one.
And so the thing with Interstellar, because it's directed by Christopher Nolan, he's a very smart and very intelligent director. He knows how to add a proper human element to science fiction. He knows how to do that with aplomb, with brilliance, with nuances. And he can take his actors and give them proper characters to play with. That's what he's done with Matthew McConaughey as one in Cooper, because not only does he have to try and find a planet for the rest of humanity, but he has to tangle with whether he wants to leave his family and moral decisions that he needs to actually make to be able to go through with the mission, the ultimate mission that could save mankind. And so he has to do that, and it's brilliantly played by Matthew McConaughey. Then you've got other characters during the movie. Jessica Chastain, she's really good at the older Murphy, and so is Mackenzie Foy. I think, in my opinion, Mackenzie Foy is better than Jessica Chastain's version of Murph. And so the film itself is very intelligent, it's very well written, it's very well acted. There are some spectacular scenes in the movie. It just has a problem where I feel like it gets bogged down with the last 20 minutes of the movie. It feels slightly overstretched. The last 10 minutes, it's just, I found it a bit pointless, to be honest. And it could have cut some time from the movie to make it feel a bit more of a wholesome package. And I also didn't fully believe the relationship between father and daughter. Fully. It's just never explored to its zenith, to its ultimate top part where it should be. So I just felt like that was a problem with it. But because it's in the hands of Christopher Nolan, you know you're going to get a movie that's done to the highest quality. And it's not on the level of things like Inception, in my opinion, for him, but it is better than, I would say, The Dark Knight Rises, because I think The Dark Knight Rises is a bit of a weakish Batman film. It's still a fantastic film, but out of the three in the Batman trilogy, I thought was the weakest one. So it's not like that. I think it's better than The Dark Knight Rises, but it's a very good science fiction film with heart at times.
I agree largely with you on that. I do agree as well, and I think it does need some trimming a little bit to take down the running time, because it is near 3 hours long, and there's sections in it which feel a bit it's a bit muddled at points until you get towards the end, which I guess is sort of intentional, but I think there's better ways it could have been done and handled in the editing. I also think one of the things a lot of people had problems with at the time when it was released in cinema, which still carries over to the home version, is that the audio is not the best mixed it could have been. It does have some issues sometimes where you struggle to make out the balance between the sound effects and the voices, or the music in particular, is a little bit distracting, because there's things in it where you want to be listening to what the characters are saying and you can't because the music's thumping away. And I get that there's obviously an intentional decision to do that. I just don't think that works for the film. I don't think it works at all. I think it's very distracting, and you don't need to be distracted when you're watching a film which has got sequences that are quite sort of intelligently played out and to do with things like black holes and such. So I think that it's good. I think it's enjoyable and successful. It's not his best film, far from it. I don't know that I agree that it's your sort of comparison there on the level with Dark Knight Rises, but it is just, it's got something holding it back from being great because of the fact that it's just not, doesn't come together completely.
Yeah, when I think when the film's at its bravest is when you've got the absence of sound. So I think that's a brave thing to actually do in a film, to take any kind of sound out of a movie. I think for me that adds tension, and when you do that in a movie, I love that. And so there are times in the film when that happens, and I applaud them for doing that. But I completely agree with you with other times when the sound sort of like makes up for the absence of sound. It elevates the sound to 11. It turns the dial up majorly, and you're thinking to yourself, can you actually speak up, Matthew McConaughey? Because he doesn't have a very loud, protruding voice at all. He has a very mumbly voice. You heard that in the clip there. When he was speaking to them, he doesn't have a very commanding kind of voice, and you can barely hear him at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the next movie is, I've got St. Vincent, so I lost it there. St. Vincent, which is written and directed by Theodore Melfi. It is the film for which Bill Murray plays the main character of Vincent, who is kind of as we're introduced to him, he's a gambling bum, sort of, well, not bum, but an old man who lives in his house, and he's a horrible kind of that old man who lives down the street, who's not friends with anyone. He's horrible to everyone. He's goes to the track and gambles. He's a drinker. He likes to go and hang out at a strip club, and things are sort of just going along for him when the neighbours being moved in next door, their delivery men end up sort of knocking over a part of the tree. It damages his fence, damages his car, turns him into a bit of an evil wine, because he comes out and has a go at the woman who's being having all the things delivered, played by Melissa McCarthy. She's just explaining the fact she's arriving there with her son. The two of them sort of moving in, and he ends up sort of forging this relationship with the son, friendship with the son. I have no idea what Stuart's doing there, but it's making a lot of noise. He ends up sort of forging this relationship with the son. When he finds out that the son is being bullied, he ends up helping him out and gives him some advice on how to deal with it. Here's a clip of him sort of dealing with Melissa McCarthy's character, explaining the fact of how he's having to sort of look after the kid.
How come you don't have anyone to watch this kid after school?
He just moved in.
Where's the father?
We met in college, and it turns out that he had been seeing
No need
someone.
to tell it then. You gonna pay for my fence?
Yeah, yes.
And my
I
tree?
said I was going to. I'm not sure how I can pay for a branch.
Everything has a price. You're an adult. You should know that.
All right, let me know.
I can watch the kid after school. A few hours. Same price. I can do $11 an hour. You pay the snacks. You're kidding. My last can of sardines.
Really?
So here's the thing with St. Vincent. I was not quite prepared for this because I'd seen the trailers and everything. I'd seen about it and all. I was kind of looking forward to seeing it, and then I was watching it and I really got into it. And the reason I really got into it is because Bill Murray is absolutely fantastic in this film. He's playing a character that's got it's played as being horrible, but there are reasons why, and there's things you learn as you're going on, and it's brilliantly done. It's brilliantly developed the character for that. I'm surprised to even admit I quite think that Melissa McCarthy is bearable in this. I think she's not only bearable, I think she's pretty good. And the thing that's really annoying about that is the fact that if the film that she did a while ago, Tammy, if it had been this kind of tone, this kind of film, she played it like that, not the typical kind of stupid comedy thing that she tries to do, it would have been a fantastic film. This is really good for her as well. There's also this thing of that you've got the kid who is played by Jaden Lieberher. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correct. But he is really good, and he's very reserved. But then there's the relationship he has, and the connection he has with Bill Murray is brilliant. That's when they work really well together. A lot of the scenes are just him sitting there and dealing with him and talking with him a bit, and it's surprising how good the two of them work together. The one thing that I think doesn't really work is you have a character played by Naomi Watts, who is playing a stripper who is pregnant and is there as being helped out by Vincent, and that I thought felt a little bit forced. It felt out of place. It felt very odd, and her performance is very average, if not kind of let down as well by her performance and by her accent. And she's playing a Russian or German, I think it's Russian, European character, and that really didn't work at all. I do think as well there's this little other character played by Chris O'Dowd who got quite a few laughs in it, but almost sort of shocking laughter. He plays sort of a priest at the school that's teaching the son, and another character that really just didn't need to be there at all was a character played by Terrence Howard, who is a sort of a gambling bookie who Vincent owes money to at the track. But altogether, the thing comes together really well and has some moments that are genuinely quite heartwarming and heart-wrenching, and I really found it to be not only enjoyable but really engrossing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was the role that I knew that Melissa McCarthy had in her. If you look at a few of her films, you can see that there are times that she wants to be taken seriously, and I was hoping that a director could see that in her, because she's not the comedy element of the movie at all. She's the drama element of the film. Even though Bill Murray is sort of like the very sarcastic, wise quipping character, and when things start to happen with his character, that's when the drama begins. But it's Melissa McCarthy. She doesn't have any comedy in the movie at all, and I was proven right. She can handle drama. She can handle it really well. Now I just want to see a movie where she plays the lead character, where she plays it like that. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case for her. The film itself, I think, falters in the last half hour of the movie. I think when it tries to tug on your heartstrings, it tries to tug on it a bit too much, in my opinion, and manipulates you a bit too much. It changes its tone and its tact from the first, right about 45 minutes of the movie. But it's still, it's a really well-acted film and very well played comedy drama with a few missteps.
Yep, I agree.
Right, Penguins of Madagascar. This is the second animated film I'm reviewing this week. I'm I'm on an animated roll. It's kind of films that I seem to have to review now.
You seem to be doing about 2 a week on average now, don't you?
Yeah, it seems
the cinema or DVD.
Well, you get the superhero movie, so I might as well have one apart from horror movies and that studio, which I'm not going to mention at all this week. But yeah, so I might as well just take animated films as well. So why not? But this is Penguins of Madagascar, and as you can tell, it's a spin-off from the Madagascar series. This time, taking the penguins from there and fleshing out a 90-minute storyline with it. And so you've got the penguins in it, who's Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. And they've been enlisted to try and join forces with this group who they do not get along with at all, to try and stop, they're called the North Wind, to try and stop the ultimate evil, who's voiced by John Malkovich, who plays Dave the Octopus. He's a clip giving you a feel of the film.
It's dark and ominous. 2 of my least favorite traits in a room.
Oh, look! A button!
Huh? Private, don't! Now, what have I told you about...
Sorry, what?
It looks like some sort of giant laser sent to kill us all, sir.
So the film itself, it hasn't got a very complex storyline. It's just got a very simplistic one, because it's more interested in the characters and the humour that the characters of the penguins bring, because that's what they were in the Madagascar films, apart from the third one, which I think that's by far the best Madagascar movie. They were there for the comedy element of it. A lot of kids' animated films do that. You've got the cute, lovable characters which are there for the humour, and that's what these were. And it was probably eventually they were going to get their own spin-off movie, and so that's the case with this. And the film itself flows really well for the 90 minutes that it's on for. There's some funny parts of the movie as well. The animation is nicely done. It's got some colour moments to it, and then it's got some interesting humour, especially the opening sequence, which... Yeah, I'll not spoil it for you, but I think it got the biggest laugh for me. It's just the way the opening sequence is actually done. It's very much like a David Attenborough documentary rather than a film, but it's got an interesting voiceover. So the film itself is very fun. It's a very enjoyable animated movie, and normally spin-offs from big films, they normally lack anything, and so this one... It doesn't. It's enjoyable. It flows nicely alongside the Madagascar series, and it could have been a car crash when it never turned out like that.
Yeah, I gotta say as well, I actually think I enjoyed this more than you, because I just found myself giggling and laughing all the way through it, and there's moments that genuinely have me big laughs in it. The stuff in it, because it's just so subversive and subtle, and the characters are so stupid but fun, and there's a great chase in it as well, with they're being chased on a gondola in Venice, and it turns into a street chase while still in the gondola, and it's stupid the way it's done, but you can't help but laugh and have fun with it. I actually think it's better than Madagascar 3, because in the whole thing of the Madagascar and the spin-offs, it's actually the spin-off is better than the originals.
No, I think Madagascar 3 was the peak of the Madagascar series. I thought it was fantastic, Madagascar 3. I think that's better than this. But that's not to say that this is not a bad film, because it's not. It's the second. If you had to put them in order, it belongs at number 2. In my opinion, anyway.
I disagree. Okay, going to go on to Get On Up, which is, if you hadn't guessed already, a biopic on James Brown. It is starring Chadwick Boseman as the man himself, playing the role through from him being youngster through to being an old man. The film is told in a kind of odd, out of order sequence, with starting off with a sequence with him being more older and turning up to a situation where he kind of is a bit sort of out of control and firing a shotgun in a shop. Cuts back to years earlier when he started out first trying to get into business and getting music, not even originally intending to start in music, but finding himself up singing on stage and joining with other people, and there's sort of involving the evolution of his music and his style and things, including some scenes which are kind of showing the darker side of James Brown, including signs where he started to struggle with how to actually deal with music and with the band. Here's a clip.
Understand? At the top before the beat. You dig it?
What's it mean, the top of the bar? It means on a downbeat.
All right.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, Monsieur.
we rehearsed it just like you told us. We got it just like you like it. Jimmy can't play that with the part he's got. We can change the part if you like.
Don't change it. Did I say change the part? Huh? Fellas, does it sound good?
Yeah.
Does it feel good? Yeah. God made your ears. You didn't make them. You gonna argue with God's ears? If it sound good and it feel good, then it's musical. So play it like I say play it.
So here's the thing with Get On Up. It's a film that genuinely surprised me, and I was, again, I mean, it's a bit like St. Vincent saying this, but I was surprised how much I got into it, considering I'm not into James Brown, I'm not into sort of soul and that, and I really got into this because it's not really just about the music, it's about the character, about the man, and it's about the things he went through and experiences in life and the people around him. And the thing that I do have a problem with is that James Brown is not known, especially for being the best treater of other people, in particular women. And the thing that I found a bit disappointing and kind of annoying is the fact that it kind of shies away from that. There's in particular a moment where you have a scene where he actually strikes his wife, and it's done and shown, and then it cuts away something, and he's there sort of showing that he is kind of like, in a way, saying to you, no, we're not going to do this now, we're going to, go over that and go to something else. And it kind of felt a bit like it was shying away from showing the man as he truly was, more showing him the man and worshipping him as the man that they wish he would be, in his public opinion thing, his public image. So for me, I like it. I think it's very nicely done. I think it's a great performance from Chadwick Boseman, but I was disappointed that it didn't really get into the character, the real man, as much as I think it should have. I think it shied away from it too much.
Yeah, I've not seen it because I'm not a fan of, like you, with this kind of music at all. Do you have to be a major fan of this kind of music to find interest in it?
I don't think so, because I wasn't into it at all. It reminded me in that way of of Senna, the documentary about F1. Is it not F1 racing?
Yeah.
And in the same way as that is about the character, and that's good, and it's all about that. This is all about the performance of and the character of James Brown, not necessarily the real man, but the opinion. The I guess you'd say the performance that was James Brown.
Yeah,
and
so
it's worth seeing for that, because it's actually kind of a tour de force of just skill and class.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Whereas Senna, it had that interest in it because the fact that it was a documentary, and then we got sort of like a film version of it. I'm just not sure with it, because it just seemed to, for me anyway, it would just not make me interested to watch it.
I'm kind of curious to see what you say about what you think of it. So I mean, if you can try and see it, I'd be interested to see what you have to say. I mean, the one thing I do think is odd about it is it has this thing where it keeps cutting back to his childhood and showing things, and it, as much as I know as well, that's not even accurate for the film. It's also very out of place in the film as well. But I really did like it. I was surprised, and I really got into it.
Right, final film of the night is Fear Clinic. It's directed by Robert Hall. It's based on a TV series that Robert Hall actually directed as well, and only lasted 6 episodes. And it featured Robert Englund, who plays the character. He plays the main scientist in the film itself, and also in the TV series. The TV series was very much more like Tales from the Crypt Keeper, rather than the way this is, and this seems to be like an episode of that, because what it is, it centers around a scientist who's, like I said, is played by Robert Englund, and he's created this machine where he's able to go into people's subconsciousness, locate what their fears are, and try to get them away from the fears. So, for example, if your fear is fire, he would try to jump into your dreams and try to stop your fear of fire. But when he's actually invading people's dreams, or getting inside of people's consciousness, he's discovering demons which seem to be manifesting themselves, and he needs to try and stop them. However, he's gone a bit doolally, a bit crazy, And so when a couple of people need the help of him, and they can't get the help of him, they need to try and figure out what's going on themselves. And interleaved into the film, you've got, for instance, Corey Taylor, who's the lead singer of a band called Slipknot, and this is his directorial debut. This is his acting debut, and he's really bad in the movie. And the whole film itself, it's to be honest, it's terrible because it's all over the place. It doesn't know how to handle its interesting premise. It's interesting to see a film where people have got to go into somebody's subconscious to try and help them that way and create a horror movie from that theme. But this is badly handled because they don't know how to make a coherent story. They just decide to throw in a few demonic elements here and there and a few little twists and turns in there to make people to think that people will be interested in it, when in fact you're bored because there's nothing interesting about the movie at all. Robert Englund is just coasting. That's what he just needs to do now. The last film I saw him in, the last showing, which was a British film where he played a person who was obsessed with films, and then he goes on a killing spree by locking somebody inside the cinema. I thought he was okay in that movie. This one, it's just another one of those typical Robert Englund going, it's a simple horror film, simple horror character. I think I'll just play that because it's going to be a couple of days on set and I'll get a bit of money. It's a bad film. Really bad horror film. Doesn't even deserve a rant. Which you were probably hoping that it would have gotten one, but no. It's a non-rantable horror movie.
I can quite happily go without a rant. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If it's unless it's truly bad, there's no real reason for a rant.
It's so bad that I don't think very many people are going to watch it, and it's going to ultimately be completely forgettable. And if somebody sees it on something like Netflix or on a streaming site, and they'll look at it and go, yeah, no thanks. They wouldn't even watch it if it was the premiere on the Horror Channel, and that says a lot. Right, that's it for the reviews for this week's show. We'll go on to our TV movies of the week.
Shall I do mine first?
Yep.
Okay, I've got two that I've picked out. Given that the release of a certain film coming out this week on Friday is the Fast and Furious movies, we've got Fast and Furious 5 is being shown on Film 4, 9 o'clock on Friday the 3rd. And also then a classic sort of great movie that if you've never seen it, which believe it or not there are people who haven't and don't know what it's about, starts off as one thing, changes to another. From Dusk Till Dawn is on Film 4 again, 11:25 p.m. on Sunday the 5th. And honestly, if you've never seen it, then be prepared, but it's really one of those films that it will kind of smack you over the head that you did not see that coming. And
it's Quentin Tarantino's best acting.
Possibly, but it's a great death as well. You get to see Quentin Tarantino killed too, so...
Yeah, but I still think, because he plays a really horrible psychopath in the film, and
I quite like him in Pulp Fiction.
I think this is his best acting, because he just goes over the top with his character, and that's what it is. And this, because previously I knew that George Clooney was in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but that was like a really cheesy horror film, and I only just saw him in ER. So this was a completely big departure from ER to see him in something like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, this was his breakout performance.
Yeah, it was. The two films that I've chosen, the first film is on BBC One on Saturday the 4th of April at 5:30. So in the afternoon. It's the animated film Rise of the Guardians. Now, I really liked this film because I thought it was a brave movie. It was released alongside the time of movies like Paranorman. Sort of like when they were taking gothic horror and then putting it into kids' films. And with this one, you've got loads of sort of like horror-related characters that are part of kids' stories interleaved in the movie, including the Sandman and the Tooth Fairy and things like that. And it's not afraid to be dark. But I thought the animation was fantastic in the movie, and it's a very enjoyable animated film. So that's on BBC One on Saturday the 4th at 5:30. And then on the next day, on Channel 4 on Sunday the 5th of April at 11:10, it's the brilliant Scottish comedy drama, The Angel Share.
Oh, brilliant film.
Yeah, I watched this after being recommended because I didn't get to review this. I think you reviewed it for the show on both cinema and DVD because I was not able to get hold of this. And this was one of the rare instances where I watch a film just because I want to watch a movie rather than having to watch a film to review it. And I watched The Angel Share, and it is really funny, but it has some interesting drama elements to it as well. It's a Scottish comedy drama about whiskey. What else? What else? It's very stereotypical on that front there, but I thought it was really funny, and the drama gets handled really well as well. The acting is fantastic. So, Angel Share, Channel 4, Sunday the 5th of April at 11:10. Yep. So that's it for this week's show. What is your film of the week?
It's going to be The Signal, because it's just not. It's not going to be Seventh Son, and it's not going to be Get Hard.
Yeah, in the cinema section, I see it go to see SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water and then walk out when the last 20 minutes pop up. You don't need to see the last 20 minutes, to be honest, the live action stuff. Just the first 70 minutes just make up for how sort of like badly handled the last 20 minutes is. So SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water, and obviously on DVD and Blu-ray, I think you'll agree with me when I say Interstellar.
Yes, to Interstellar, but if you're not into sci-fi, I would say check out Get On Up and St. Vincent.
So it's not a bad week for films this week then, for you to actually check out. We will be back next week, whether it be Sunday, Monday, or whatever. You know the drill by now. The post will go up on the website. You'll find the details in there, where we will be looking at Fast and Furious 7 over here. Furious 7 in America.
Yeah. I get what they called Fast 5 and then Furious 6, but then just calling it Furious 7, just, you know, it's the same thing as the last film. Just, I mean, it kind of says probably what it is. It's probably just the same as the last film, just with another number.
Yeah, also what I'm finding strange is that it hasn't got like a preview day and released on the Thursday. It's released on Good Friday. So
but there are midnight showings, which I'm going to be going to.
Yeah, I'm actually going to a different midnight show for a different film in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, I know. But yeah, that's out next Friday anyway. So we'll be back next week. This Friday, sorry, we'll be back next week to actually review that film alongside a couple of other things. A few films that are trying to be brave to go up against Fast and Furious 7. Make sure you check out our website, mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You can also get us on Facebook, facebook.com/mondaymovieshow, or email us, mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. Twitter @mondaymovieshow. You can catch me on there. I'm at Cryptic Tadpole, and Andrew's at EHDVD. Don't forget to actually throw him his congratulations. Give him a couple more days of it, and then I will probably be sick of hearing about it.
I didn't bring it up. You did.
I know, but it needs to be mentioned slightly, didn't it? But yeah, just throw them his way. You can also check out Following the Nerd. They have no show this Thursday because they're too lazy. Marcus probably going to kill me now for saying that. I'm on a roll, aren't I, for insulting people. But yeah, no show this Thursday. They will be back next Thursday when they'll have me moaning on the show, and they'll probably kick me off after the first 2 minutes. And you've also got Stuart, who's a friend of the show. He does From Page to Screen. I don't know when he schedules his stuff. You can bother him on Twitter with From Page to Screen on there. So until next week, we'll play you out with a clip from a film that's out in a couple of weeks' time, John Wick, starring Keanu Reeves. Early indication, it is actually really good, surprisingly. So we'll play you out with that clip, and we'll be back next week.
Vigo. Yeah. When Ellen died, I lost everything. Until that dog arrived on my doorstep. A final gift from my wife. In that moment, I received some semblance of hope. An opportunity to grieve unalone. And your son took that from me. Stole that from me. Killed that from me! People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. So you can either hand over your son, or you can die screaming